So today I'm going to talk about the map function that you have attached to the array object in JavaScript. And I'll also be talking about a utility that you have in Linux that allows you to have a faster development loop. So let's first talk about the map function. It's a higher order function, meaning that it's a function that accepts another function as argument and it transforms your data. The usual example that you have is, imagine that you have an array which has numbers in it, and then you want to double each number in the array. So what you can do is pass in an anonymous function and double the nth element of the array. So if we assign this to, let's say, result, and then we log result, then what we get is the doubled array. So what is happening here? You pass an anonymous function, and this anonymous function is being called on every element of the array. So what map does is it basically goes through the array, and for each element of the array, doubles that element. So this is an example of using map. Another example might be this one. I am in React right now. So here is the map function. And what I am basically doing is looping through an array, which is a JSON that's being returned from this endpoint here. So this endpoint here returns a JSON, and I'm mapping through the JSON and transforming the JSON from an array of objects into an array of components. So this is one component that you see there, the product component. So I am transforming the data. Whenever you need to transform something, consider the possibility of using map. So let's quickly see a possible implementation of map so that we clear any doubt of what's going on in there. So map accepts an array, and then it also accepts a function that's being called on every element of the array. So how do we implement this? Let's go with the loop implementation. So we're going to just loop through the array, visiting every element of it. Then we take the nth element of the array, and then we do something on this nth element. Of course, we need to have a new array as a return value. So let's do that. We can call it res, which is a new array. And all I have to do now is res.I equals this. So I basically apply the function that I am passed as argument, which is going to transform the nth element, and the transformed element is going to be put at the same index of the original one, but in the new array. So the array keeps the same length. So the transformed element in position I of the original array will be in the resulting array at position I. And then I just need to return it. And that's basically it. So this is the implementation, and this is how you use in JavaScript. But let's see what I was talking about before. So under Linux, you can have this useful utility here that's called Inotifywait. And what it basically does is wait for changes and execute whatever instruction you give it to execute. So in this example, what I'm basically listening for, I'm listening for these two events here, and I'm listening for these two events on every JavaScript file in this folder. So whenever a JavaScript file in the current folder changes, I'm going to execute this command here. So let's see that in action. As you can see, it started listening for changes. Now I just need to do something here. I'll save. And as you can see, I have the output here. So I can go ahead and say, I want to invoke my map function. Let's just pass it to a console.log. So console.log.map, and I'm passing the same array as above. And as a function, I'm going to pass the same function. So this should yield the same result. And as you can see, it did. So I don't have to go back to the other terminal and execute the command again. So you can have this running side by side, running it in another terminal, depending on what your IDE is. But it's really a very useful tool that you can use to have a faster development cycle. And yes, that's all I have.